The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate you joining us here on this Thursday evening. A bit of a change here today as we are just wrapping up the first round of the NFL Draft. And my oh my, was it a hectic one we have so far today. We're going to do just a quick recap. Here today, it is DJ joined by friend of the show. That is Brendan. If you checked in on some of our earlier shows, you remember him with some of our NFL prediction ones. And Brendan, we're going to talk about this wacky, zany, incredibly goofy first round of the NFL Draft here today. One of the more unpredictable ones we've seen as well. So we're going to go and take a look at some fun teams that we thought crushed it, some that did not so great. We'll look at an intriguing couple of them, and then we'll talk about some of those guys that slipped to round two, because sometimes those round two picks can be more valuable than round ones, depending on who gets taken. So I'll go and kick things off. We won't have to look too far back to see who crushed it. I think the team that had a pick at the very top and a pick who had a pick at the very bottom did work with it. We're going to look at the Philadelphia Eagles, probably running away with this one, with this draft so far. You get top 3 overall player Jalen Carter, and you just hang out at pick number 30 and get top 10 player Nolan Smith. I had both guys in my top 10 on the big boards. If you haven't checked those out, check them out on our Twitter page. You got arguably a top 3 edge and arguably the top 3 player in Jalen Carter, arguably the best player. So I think you knocked it out of the park. Your defensive line is going to be even better than net last year. Nolan Smith, it's absolutely incredible. Nolan Smith could have went at 10. They really could have taken him at 10 and got an A+. They got him at 30, at which the NFL has some explaining to do. But that's what I'm looking at. The Eagles knocked this one absolutely out of the park. But for you, you got a different team that you think also kind of had a pretty good draft day.
I had the Cardinals. I mean, being able to pick up the extra picks and still go and get their protection for Kyler Murray. I mean, there was a ton of trade backs, but not every team scored like they did when it comes to.
Yeah, absolutely. You get your left tackle of the future. You have a top 3 pick in the second round, and you got an extra pick next year from a team that you imagine is going to struggle too. They knocked this one out of the park as well. And Kyler Murray's got his sitting there smiling from when that ACL heals. He'll be ready to go. So now, unfortunately, with the good, there's always some bad in the first round as well. There were a couple teams that we'll say they left some to be desired, that they left us scratching our heads. And I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to pick another team that had 2 first-round picks, and both of them had me going, What are you thinking? I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs they traded from 6 out to 12. Jahmyr Gibbs is a good player, a first-round caliber player. Very Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne-like. You have DeAndre Swift. You just signed David Montgomery. You had the literal worst defense in the NFL, literally 32 out of 32. And you brought in Jahmyr Gibbs at pick number 12. I don't understand the logic there. You might as well have just stuck at 6 and taken Bijan Robinson if you're going to do that. Like, what? I don't understand the thinking. You need either receiver help since Jameson Williams is suspended. You need defensive help across the board. You have no corners now besides Amani Oruwariye. You just traded Jeff Okudah. Your pass rush is Aiden Hutchinson, and hopefully somebody else breaks through. The logic makes no sense to me. Then to follow it up at pick number 18, you have a chance to kind of rectify, maybe address a direct need. You went and took Jack Campbell, a really, really good linebacker, a player in my top 50 board. A traditional thumper who goes downhill, very, very good run stopper, a lot of potential. But that wasn't really one of your big needs. You still need corners. You still need a more defensive line. And you took him at 18. He probably would have been there at 35 or wherever their second-round pick is as well. So for me, the Lions, they took okay players at not position and needs at overvalued spots as well. When you think about it, the 2 least valuable positions in the NFL draft of the first round tend to be running back and linebacker. More often not, unless you have a generational talent or a freakish nature one. So when I look at the Lions, I'm scratching my head thinking, what are you doing? You have all of these picks. You still have 3 more in tomorrow as well. So you're not done yet. So you got plenty of work. But I feel like they didn't make any picks that are going to make them better. They were on the cusp of finally getting out of that cellar, and they didn't really do a whole lot to get out of it as well. So looking for yours, though, it looks like you went to the AFC for this one. It looks like you have a different team that you think might have whiffed a little bit on their first-round pick.
Oh, yeah. Kind of in that same realm of overvaluing your guy. I went with the Jets. I mean, I just don't see Will McDonald being better than Nolan Smith. I don't see him being better than Miles Murphy, even for that argument's sake. I mean, you just got Aaron Rodgers in a trade. Why not try and get him some extra protection? I mean, that Mekhi Becton's been good when he's on the field. But, I mean, there's so many more options. And after getting Aaron Rodgers, you kind of want to just support him as much as you can, make your team a playoff team. Will McDonald is not that guy to make your team that next step up.
I know a lot of draft guys like Will McDonald because Iowa State, he's 240 pounds, and Iowa State basically put him as like a 3 tech and a defensive tackle / 3-4 D end, and they completely misabused him is what his skill set provides. But pick number 15 is an awfully big thing because you've never seen him play at his natural position by those standards as well. When a Nolan Smith is right there if you want another edge rusher, when a Miles Murphy at Brian Brasier, as Felix Adams Uzoma, like there's so many options. The corners that were still there. Yeah, Christian Gonzalez, you could have paired with Sauce Gardner. Like I'm agreeing with you on the Jets. You could have grabbed JSN and just give him another receiver and said, Aaron Rodgers, we're going to go 4 wide and have Breece Hall behind you. Could have grabbed Dalton Kincaid. You could have just loaded up on any spot. I know the tackle run had already kind of started. You had interior offensive linemen too. Like it was, I agree with you on that one, especially considering you're probably not going to have a first-round pick next year if Aaron Rodgers plays the 60% of the snaps this year, wherever that number is. So you're on a Super Bowl mission right now, and it feels like unless we miss something and he has a little Aldon Smith in him or something like that, I could just come in and just get you 13, 14 sacks as a conditional rusher, but it does not feel like you got a whole lot better when you look at that you look at the Bills adding Dalton Kincaid, the Patriots adding Christian Gonzalez as well, the Dolphins not doing anything because they're stupid, so they don't have a first-round pick, but it feels like they did the least amount to help their cause in a loaded AFC East after getting Aaron Rodgers. So we're in agreement on there. The Jets look like they sputtered a little bit on the landing pad, but now we're going to go take a look at an intriguing pick. Maybe not a great one, but definitely not a bad one. One that we're really curious to see how it plays out, and there's quite a few of these. I kind of want to pick some of the quarterbacks, but I'm not going to. I'm going to avoid that one since that's a whole nother conversation. I want to look at the Raiders taking Tyree Wilson at pick 7. The absolute freak of nature of the top 10, 6'6", 86-inch wingspan, 275. A lot of people had him as edge 1 with the highest ceiling. And you pair him with Max Crosby, who is nicknamed the Condor because of his wingspan. Those two should just do this. They should just do this from edge to edge, and you can't run the ball without getting clotheslined. You don't need defensive tackles at this point. Just have Condor and Tyree Wilson expand their arms, and you have the entire offensive line covered. If that foot injury is nothing to be concerned about, Tyree Wilson's going to be a freak next to him. And it's kind of smart by the Raiders. Last year they tried loading up on offense. We'll try and score with the Chiefs and the Chargers. That did not work. This year, like, you know what? We'll see how good they are if we put them on their back the entire time or in their face the entire way. So I think that's a really good pick by the Raiders, who they need to hit on a first-round pick because it's been a while since they had a first-round pick that didn't – on the team. We're just going to leave it as on the team, minus Josh Jacobs. The other, 6 first-round picks they've had in the last 5 years aren't even on the team anymore. So looking at you, though, I think you're staying in the West, but you're going back to a team here with 2 picks, it looks like, for intriguing.
Oh, yeah. I went with the Seahawks because I feel like they had a lot of needs that they had the opportunity to fill. They had 2 first-round picks. Top 5 was great. They had plenty of options. Did they go edge? No. Did they go defensive tackle? No. They went with a corner and a receiver. Both picks are great. I do like both picks. I just don't think that it fills the need that they were really, really needing to get sent home to make them that extra little bit better, push them through the playoffs a little bit more. But maybe with that corner help, maybe with the receiver help, Geno Smith's on the field more. He's getting more targets, more guys. It could work out. It's one of those where some of the picks seem more obvious. I mean, Tyree Wilson was available. Jalen Carter was available. Or even Paris Johnson to help on the offensive line. I mean, any one of those could have helped. But I'm not disagreeing with their picks. I just find that they're not what I would have done, and not what a lot of boards have them doing either.
Absolutely. I like some Devin Witherspoon. It gives him a little bit of that Legion of Boom feel again as well, too. And Jackson Smith and Jib in that offense with DK and Tyler Lockett out there, he's going to catch 85 passes just because they're going to say, they're going to leave their safeties or their third corner on him. He's going to toast them trying to cover DK over the top. Or DK is going to score 17 touchdowns this year because they can't double team him. So if Geno Smith can build off of last year, good luck, NFC. That offense is going to be potent. And they have those 2 young tackles they drafted last year as well. They're going to be potent. Seattle's going to be, they talked about letting Russ cook. Well, Geno's about to cook, and he's not going to set the kitchen on fire. So that's going to be a fun one to watch out for. Next week, as it is with every first round, not everyone who is a first round caliber type guy gets taken in the first round. Some guys get overdrafted, some guys slip for different reasons. So we're going to take a look at a couple of second round guys that we're keeping an eye on as we head into day 2. I'm going to start with the obvious one. Will Levis not getting taken in the first round is absolutely shocking. I was always kind of adamant, like, you don't take him in the top 5. That's where it's kind of shaky. Maybe 10 and after that, you feel comfortable. He's a first round talent quarterback. There's question marks as there's with a lot of them. The fact they didn't get taken in the first round at all absolutely stuns me, that no one wanted to have that 5th-year option on him that comes with being a first-round pick, that extra year of quote-unquote control to do it. That way you get more time before you have to pay him. I know they were talking about there's that toe injury lingering from last year that might have caused a little bit of it, kind of like we saw Nakobe Dean in that shoulder last year, but how valuable quarterbacks are, the fact that you had 3 in the top 4 and nothing else the rest of the way with Levis and Hendon Hooker sitting there. I know I cheated and just picked 2 of them, but that's absolutely asinine to me. Someone's going to take him at the top of the second round. They have to. I haven't been the highest on Will Levis, but him dropping this far feels like the beginnings of the origins of a villain story where he's about to take this league by storm, a la Aaron Rodgers circa 2004, whatever it was too. So that he's about to have a big old chip on his shoulder. And if he dips that chip in mayonnaise, look out, rest of the NFL, because Will Levis this is going to be interesting to keep an eye on who decides to pull the trigger on him. The other one I'm going to look at really quick is O'Cyrus Torrence, the interior offensive lineman out of Florida, arguably the best interior offensive lineman on the board, could play guard or center for you. I thought a team like the Bills or someone like that could use some offensive line work that missed out on the tackles would take a shot at him. Maybe even the Jets or someone like that. Just like, hey, you don't have the tackle we want, but we might as well get a guard just to fortify that interior, give quarterback room to step up, spam halfback dive, the usual. Surprised to see him go to round 2. This is pairing up with his old teammate Anthony Richardson in the Colts. That's someone that should be looking at him as well, just because could use a little help opposite Quentin Nelson at guard. Seems like a perfect fit there as well. I think he's a first-round caliber guy slipping to the second round, but we got a lot of those guys, and you're going to touch base on a couple of them for us too.
Oh yeah, one of the ones that I thought was rather intriguing was to see only one tight end go in the first round. I had Michael Mayer going, I don't know, to the Jags, to the Chargers, to the Bills, any one of those teams, all arguably could be in need of a really good tight end. Only have one go in the first round. It just kind of shocks me. I mean, I feel like him dropping is just going to allow for these early guys who were picked. You know, you've got the Texans picking again. You've got Stroud. You've got Young. They're all going to need weapons. And if they've got the weapons for, have tight end and any other guys that they might pick up late in the second round, Mayer's going to show up. I think he really is. My second guy I have is Brian Branch. He was on my list for the Eagles to pick in their second pick. And if the NFL hadn't let Nolan Smith drop to them to make them the most insane pass rushing team that's ever been created, Branch made great sense. They already have a great pass rush. That's the depth of their secondary. They don't need a lot of guys with the amount of pressure that they can generate from quarter 1 till the end of the game. As many guys as they're circulating through, they're always fresh. So the more depth that they have at the secondary, that's more chances for takeaways. That's more chances for stops in the fourth quarter. It just made more sense. There's a couple other teams that may have needed with safety or extra secondary help. The Eagles stood out the most to me, and for them to have Nolan Smith drop to him is just insane to me.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, Michael Mayer feels like Jason Witten incarnate. He's not the most athletic, but he can run 10 yards, turn around, and be a big body. That's easy, move the chains. Like someone's going to take him and get a lot of first downs. And Brian Branch's ability to play nickel, safety, corner, a little bit of everything. He's very versatile, coming from the Alabama defense, which a lot of teams like as well. So he feels like he could honestly be the first pick in the second round. I could see the Steelers just saying, like, you know what? We're going to take him and pair him with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Good luck, everybody else. Like, he's not going to last very long. I don't think a lot of these guys are going to last very long. I think round 2, we're going to see a lot of these guys fly off the boards. But that is going to do it here for us, our quick round one recap. Join Kelsey and myself next Wednesday here on the High Low Sports Podcast, where we'll recap the entire draft, as well as talk a little bit about Lamar's Jackson deal and a whole lot more in the world of sports. But we appreciate you all for joining us here for this quick recap. We'll see you guys again later.